Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to Triple Play Fantasy. I'm doing dad duty tonight as well as we get you ready to win your semifinal matchup and get you ready for Christmas. So tune in right after this intro video. All right, everybody, this is Triple Play Fantasy. I am your host, Zach at FF Triple Batman. I'm joined tonight by the wonderful Alex at Alex Mateo 94, as well as Doc at Triple Play Fantasy. And we have a special guest, my youngest daughter, Madison, who just turned 9 months last week. I am playing fantasy host as well as dad. Always a good time. We'll see if she likes our advice or if she doesn't like it. You already don't like it. We're off to a rough start. But with that, Alex, can you give me your takeaway from week 15?
Since the Bills made that change at offensive coordinator, it was interesting to see how Joe Brady was going to run that offense. The answer is James Cook is the focal point and will be and continue to be a league winner for you through this playoff run. Since Brady's taken over, he's had 15 opportunities in each week at the very minimum. And the last 4 games, he's been an RB1. And this week, going against the Chargers, has that full profile in the receiving game as well as on the ground. There's a good chance he'll put up another 25 touches and probably close to that in fantasy points this week as well.
All right, yeah. Mike D, already fading you.
It's okay.
Oh, is that funny? All right. And Doc, what's your takeaway from week 15?
My takeaway is the Raiders D might have been the most valuable play, obviously putting up 25 points. But think about this. If you go into Saturday's game with a 25-point, let's say that was the only person that you played or you faced. For me, that was the situation in a couple leagues, and it really made me overthink my decisions because I'm already facing a deficit. They were a defense that was widely available in most leagues, playing a Chargers team that all of a sudden got injury prone and decimated. And, you know, we think about Dallas D, who had negative points this week. The Raiders weren't an elite team, or Raiders D was not an elite play leading up to week 15, but that probably won a lot of people matchups and psychologically probably screwed a lot of opponents over.
Yeah, it makes you rethink the back end of that lineup, having to take a swing and be like, all right, I'm already down 25 in the hole. And like you said, it's all for the defense. So it's like, okay, do I take the swing? Do I go for the floor? Do I go for the ceiling? How do I approach that? Because obviously you're going to keep your studs in, but like you said, makes you really overthink the back third.
Also, how much there? I remember I got home from work and they had 14 points and they had 7 sacks. And then I went and took a shower and they had 31 because they had 2 defensive touchdowns within like a 6-minute span. That is just so deflating.
Yeah. It's like you're getting an extra quarterback, essentially.
Yeah, which probably goes into Zach's takeaway.
Yeah, my takeaway is it's fantasy football playoffs chaos. I mean, hopefully you had a bye week. How many studs just completely crap the bed as I'm holding my wonderful baby who hopefully doesn't crap her diaper right now. But, I mean, we were joking in our group chat. Dak Prescott got you to the playoffs, and then he took you out in the first round.
Bijan Robinson had negative.
Yeah,
it was rough. So that's why we talked about earlier in the shows in previous episodes. It takes skill to get to the playoffs. It takes a lot of luck to win your league because, I mean, why would you bench Bijan Robinson? Why would you bench Dak Prescott? Like, you're not going to make those moves. So process over results. It just sucks when the results end up getting you bounced in the first round.
Like that, yeah.
And even Zach, like you said this too. I was playing Cole Kmet in a couple of leagues. Cole Kmet got an offsides and took away a touchdown only to get a receiving touchdown the next play. Like, that is such chaos.
Yeah, or look at Fields had a pretty, below average game. I think it was like 12-ish points, and there was a drop touchdown to his other tight end wide open. I mean, and then at the end of the game, Mooney drops a touchdown for to end the game. So you never know.
Yeah, Fields finished the 2 interceptions, and they were both on Hail Marys.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Madison is a anti-Art Smith fan because his dad has Bijan Robinson in the home league. Fortunately, I had a bye week, so I'm going to need him to step it up this week. Yeah, you tell him.
Yeah, let's get Arthur Smith fired.
The bye week this year is just shown to be so much more valuable than previous years. Even like going in, like Chase got banged up, no Tyreek, no Olave. I know you're going to run through the rest of the injuries from this past week, but like you said, chaos, studs are going down. You realistically could have
drastically changed going into the playoffs, and that's just one of the. Sometimes you benefit, and sometimes you're on the losing end of that.
You realistically this season could have started your draft with Tyreek, Olave, and Jonathan Taylor because of the 4 early on. He was sliding in drafts. You could have went in the playoffs without your first 3 picks playing. So, like you said, that bye week is just even more pivotal this year than years past, it feels like.
And if it wasn't depressing enough, let's go through the injuries that happened just in this past week. So we got Trevor Lawrence has a concussion. We'll see if he clears protocol. We got Will Levis, high ankle sprain. Don't expect him to play. Zach Wilson might have a concussion. Could still be dehydrated. We don't know, but can't expect him to play. Keith Mitchell was gruesome injury towards ACL. He's done for the year. Zach Moss has some sort of right arm injury. Could be his forearm he broke earlier. Could be a shoulder. We're not sure. He says he's going to play through the pain. Jonathan Taylor might come back. Who knows at this point with the Colts. Michael Pittman Jr. concussion. It was a nasty hit. We'll see if he makes it back in time. Jamar Chase, AC joint sprain. Probably going to miss at least a week. We'll see. Zay Jones, already coming back from a bad knee injury. Looked like he strained his hammy. He's probably done for at least another week. Marquise Brown re-aggravated a heel injury. You got to figure he's done. And Jaden Reed hurt his toe. We're not sure the severity on that one. And Hunter Henry caught a touchdown, but then has a knee injury, and we don't know the severity on that one, so he could be out. But hopefully you weren't relying on Hunter Henry anyway. So plenty of injuries. We still are waiting on guys to come back. Like, is Olave coming back this week from his injury? Is Keenan Allen coming back? Tyreek Hill. So plenty of guys from previous weeks we're still waiting on. So make sure you are paying attention. I could not tell you how many times I saw people, for example, like Riley Patterson was a healthy scratch. But that was announced an hour and a half before kickoff, and people left them in their lineup. So pay attention, especially as we have games on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday this week with the holiday.
3 Monday games.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
Full Christmas slate.
Yep. An hour and a half before kickoff is when the inactives have to come out. That's the one nice thing about NFL compared to the NBA. You have a whole hour and a half to find out the inactives. So make sure you get your guys out of the lineup if they're inactive. You don't want to take a 0 as we're in the semifinals of the playoffs. But with that, Doc, what is your favorite bet or prop for Week 16?
All right, so I am in North Carolina, so I cannot gamble this week. So I can only look at the lines. This is a tease, believe me. I like the Seahawks minus 2.5. 7-7. They are currently 8th place in the NFC. They're looking to get a playoff spot. The Titans have lost by 3 or more in 4 out of their last 7 games, and their wins again have been against the Panthers and the Titans when they kind of came back by 14 points with 2 minutes left. But other than that, 5 out of the last 7, they've lost by at least 3 or more. Will Levis is out. I don't know if Tannehill is at an upgrade at this point. Derrick Henry seems checked out. Who knows if he wants to take on his normal workload. So, yeah, I hate saying it as a 49ers fan, but I think Seahawks. And if you want their money line, it's at minus 142.
All right, Madison likes it.
A good bet for Seattle. Now, do you still feel that confident if it's Drew Lock versus Geno Smith again, or
I feel fine. I feel fine with Drew Lock. He played well yesterday.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker ran the ball very well. Just feed him the ball.
Yeah, you're very, very upsetting seeing that again from the Eagles. But that we digress because I do agree with you. Regardless who's playing quarterback for the Seahawks,
Alex is down right now. If you can't tell,
I am. I'm in like that denial stage of grief.
You know what? If
And
the
now I'm
tush
almost
push,
like acceptance of us being just pretenders.
okay, Alex, I have a question for you. And Zach, sorry, we're getting a little off script. If the tush push was banned the entire year, what would the Eagles' record be? They're
Oh,
10-4 right now. I think they'd be 8-6 if the tush push was banned.
I mean, I'm not too sure to be honest. I don't think the
I'm
actual.
gonna post this question to Twitter
I don't think
later.
the
I'm curious
actual
what the people
goal
will think.
line plays, because they still would have found a way to score because they were doing the push
That
early
is
on.
such assumptive reasoning.
But I
You were
feel like
talking about
I
a
feel like
play
the
that's like
first-
95%
the
converting.
first Washington game that would have had a swing, and so yeah, probably 8-6.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, because I see the Bills and the first Washington game in Philly that went to overtime. Those are the two where I'm like, okay, like that's where I can see it really impacting the game.
Okay.
I think DeAndre Swift might be a top 10 running back if there was no tush push.
The goal line's lava for him. He tripped over Jason Kelsey last night. He's avoiding the goal line like it's the plague.
But Zach, you like an Eagles player for an anytime touchdown, don't you?
I do. That is my. I would say it's semi a joke, but I'm definitely gonna put at least some money on it. I don't even know what the odds are yet. I haven't seen it.
Degenerate.
It doesn't
I haven't
matter what
seen
the
it.
odds are.
Correct, but it's a giant killer. It's Boston Scott anytime touchdown versus the Giants. Just put in perspective, he has 9 career games against the Giants. He scored 11 total touchdowns.
And I think
Zach,
he's 15 in his career.
Zach, where did you see that? Because I know you didn't do research on that.
Where I got that from StatMuse.
Gotcha. They don't have lines up yet, but I like.
No lines. I don't
Yeah.
even care what the line is. It's gonna be plus money. So put a little bit down.
Sprinkle something on there.
Yeah. If he doesn't get it, all good. You're having a good time. You're not blowing the bank on this bet. It's just a fun little teaser for the holidays.
I don't know, Zach. When you sounded really confident for the
He
Broncos last week, and I put my future kids' college fund on it, and then you tell me that you haven't been profitable on the show. Like, got to give a
You
caveat.
just ruin your kid's future.
Yeah.
Hey,
Selfish.
we gamble responsibly. We recommend responsible gambling here at Triple Play Fantasy. So yeah, that's right. I don't make big bets. Yeah, we have fun. All right, we do have a question before we move on. Oh, there we go. So from Ray Gamer, thanks for tuning in on YouTube. Browns D versus Texans with no Stroud and maybe no Collins on the road. Eagles defense versus the Giants at home, or Broncos defense at home versus the Patriots, possibly in the snow and cold weather. Not the Eagles defense.
Yeah.
I agree. Completely agree.
Patriots have been better with Zappy.
They have.
Is it bad to say Browns D maybe?
No, I was thinking the exact same thing. Process of elimination,
Yeah.
they have the most favorable matchup.
I think you need to pay attention to the injury updates for the defensive players on these teams and see who has the most healthy players, and that would be my tiebreaker between the Browns and the
If
Broncos.
the Eagles get Slay back this week,
I'm not touching it.
I know he had the knee scope, so he may or may not. I don't think he will. On the offense
Browns
he plays, the Eagles have a little better than coming into it, but I do like the Browns the best out of the three still.
The Browns have 7 sacks over the last 2 games and play CJ Stroud, who has lost his top 2 weapons and is coming back from a concussion. I feel like he could be a little bit rattled.
Yeah, they'll definitely be relying on the run game.
I just want to shout out Ray. Appreciate he subbed to the channel. So, like I said, if you guys are watching out there, subscribe. All that's a great way to support the team. We're just here to help you hopefully win some games, have fun, and we still cover not just football. We get you with basketball, baseball, all sorts of stuff. That's what makes us Triple Play Fantasy. We're not just a one sport show. All right. So with that, let's move on to a new segment just for the playoffs, having some fun. We're going to call it Let's Vent. So who hurt you in the playoffs? Alex, who hurt you?
Dak. He just had his worst fantasy game in the last 7 or 8 weeks. Really played a big role in getting me pretty far in the playoffs, especially Scott Fishbowl, and just didn't show up this week. It was a real bummer. Not even gonna
And CeeDee Lamb got a rushing touchdown at the end, by the way.
Exactly. Not
That's,
even.
That
It could have
was
been a
the
little forward shuffle. No, he didn't even get the shuffle touchdown for him.
He gets tackled on the 3 rushing it after throwing the ball the entire way, and then they do a wide receiver end around.
Yeah. Just brutal.
Because a touchdown pass would have given him 10. That is bad, but that's serviceable. Single digits for your quarterback, you're not going to win.
Killer, absolutely killer. It's enough to, especially losing the week.
Doc, who hurt you?
Najee Harris. I'm never going to draft him again. Part of it is because Zach's laughing. Part of it is because I'm mad at myself for playing him. Sometimes real life catches up, and especially these Saturday games. I forgot there was a 1 o'clock. Najee Harris had 1.3 non-PPR points. And it's not just that. I was watching the game on my phone at a wedding because I'm that obsessed with fantasy. And he got tackled at the 1 twice. And I'm not even saying you need to convert them, but the size he is for a running back, he's bigger than Jaylen Warren. Those are the ones that you need to get. You need to get those tough 1 yards.
Yeah, and he plays very small.
And if he can't get that, he has 4 rushing touchdowns this year, just for the volume that we thought he'd get. And he has double-digit carries in all but 2 of them, so 13 out of the 15. And he has 4 touchdowns. Now, I know the Steelers' offense hasn't been great, and that is going to lead for a future segment, but you can't spend a moderately high draft pick on this guy ever again. Plodster.
And no offense to the Steelers, but I mean, that team just looks broken. How many weeks are we going to watch their wide receivers not show any effort? Like, we had Deontay Johnson, who wasn't part of a game play. It was supposed to be a run.
Fumble.
So there's a fumble, goes right by him, doesn't care. And then you have another run play with Jaylen Warren to the end zone this past week. All that Pickens had to do was just get in front of the guy. And it's probably a touchdown for Warren. He does nothing, even pays attention to the back end, jumps over a guy that might take his legs out. And, I don't know what's going on with that team. So, yeah, it's hard to trust the Steelers right now, and you hate to see it for Najee Harris. This is not a humble brag because I lost plenty of matchups this week, just wasn't in leagues that I really care too much about, or I was able to get lucky, win a few, or I had bye weeks. But the one guy who I think hurt me the most, it was Justin Fields. And it was in a league where it probably hurt me more because he had so many chances to score more points. His team didn't help him out. And then I had Baker Mayfield on my bench. Because why would I start Baker over Justin Fields? I know process over results, but Baker was on fire, finished as a QB1, and I lose my matchup by just a few points with Baker on my bench. So that's why he hurt me. He really didn't have that bad of a game. It just did not look great for fantasy because of a few drops. We do have another question from Ray. So we got Jalen Hurts versus the Giants or Dak versus Dolphins. Standard 6 points per touchdown. Who would you sit Eckler for? Okay. So I'm guessing.
I'm going Jalen Hurts.
The first one, Jalen or Dak? Yeah, I'm going Jalen. He's safer. Assuming he's not extremely sick, which I would assume by then he'll be better.
Hopefully.
Let's go Jalen. So now are we sitting Eckler in standard for Deontay Johnson? No. Godwin, Jackson, James banged up. I'd probably play Eckler.
I would do Chris Godwin. That offense looks bad.
Yeah, I would probably go
that
Godwin.
Offense looks bad, and he's in a timeshare at running back. In a PPR, yes, and a standard. Godwin has I think he has 22 receptions over the last couple weeks. He had 10 for 155.
Yeah, he looked really good.
And he got 0 of the touchdowns.
I would also be interested to see what Jaden's Reed injury designations for the rest of the week.
I think it's a toe.
I know you said it was the toe early on.
Yeah.
But if he's a full participant tomorrow or Thursday, you have a very strong case for him because he's been manufactured touches each of the last few weeks.
The Panthers are a terrible defense to throw against, not because they're good, just because you can run all over them. So
yeah,
that's the only catch.
But he's also had a few carries each of the last few games too.
Very true. And we got Forrest L7W joining us in from YouTube. Appreciate it. Where would you rather go if you were Cousins? Would you rather go to Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Washington, or Oakland?
Atlanta.
Vegas. if I was him and they're paying me the money, I'd probably stick with Minnesota. Your family's there. You feel comfortable there. You still got Justin Jefferson. You got T.J. Hawkinson. You love your coach. If they're going to pay me the money, I'm staying in Minnesota if I'm Cousins.
Yeah, but that opportunity in Atlanta.
If he was to leave Minnesota, yeah, I feel like Minnesota is going to force him out.
I don't see them forking out money.
Or they pay him a limited amount and he has to decide. I think Atlanta would pay him more, which is why he would go there.
He'd probably get a Derek Carr-esque contract from Atlanta.
I like that, Alex.
If I can't say Minnesota, then yeah, Atlanta is my choice. But just because they have the best weapons. But
and
who's the
put him in
coach?
dome.
Yeah, then a good division. All right. And with that, we're going to have another new segment because we are in the playoffs, having fun at the end of the season. I know half of you guys watching, we appreciate it. Probably are out of the playoffs, or maybe you're holding on to dear life. So we're going to do a little stud and dud for 2023. So this season, you can't count major injuries. Obviously, like, for example, Nick Chubb feels like a dud because obviously he has barely played this season, but that's not fair to him. Can't predict injuries. So, Doc, who is your stud of 2023?
So mine is Alvin Kamara, running back 25 going into the year. So he missed the first 3 games, but ever since he's scored double-digit fantasy points in every game. He has over 1,000 combined yards on the year, averaging 98 yards per game, 6 touchdowns. He's somebody that he hasn't had any bad weeks. He's had weeks that have been better than others, but you can start him confidently in RB2 role. He's RB5 on the season, and keep in mind he missed the first 3 games. So you got him at a discount this year, and if anything, that was better for the rest of this season because he had fresh legs going into week 4, and I just wish I had more shares of him myself.
Yeah, I did not get enough Alvin Kamara this year.
That was not someone who came to mind, but that's a really solid pull.
All of a sudden I decided to have morals and not draft him.
You and me both.
Hey, he was a knockout pick, though.
That's such a dad joke.
Hey, I got my kid with me right now. I got to make a dad joke. Alex, who is your stud of 2023?
This pains me since he's on one of the 2 teams I hate. But it's cute. He was going as QB19, coming off of that elbow surgery. It's Brock Purdy. He's had only 3 games this season below that QB19. Only 4 games in total where he was not in the top 10. Coming off that surgery, he's thrown for 29 touchdowns, only 7 picks, almost 4,000 yards. And he still has a couple rushing touchdowns. He's likely going to win the MVP for both real life and fantasy this year.
You probably got him. We could talk about him being the waiver wire pickup of the year.
Yeah, him or
Mostert.
Him, Mostert, Puka, Trey McBride. Yeah. You can have a really solid all waiver wire team.
That's fair. And for me, my stud of 2023 has to be Raheem Mostert. I know he was your MVP, your midway season MVP, Alex, and he just kept going. So, yeah. So 20 total touchdowns, leads the NFL. You'd like to see that. He has at least 1 touchdown in 11 of his 14 games played. Very consistent. But of those 11 games he has a touchdown, 6 of those he has at least 2 touchdowns. Some of them he even has 3 and 4 touchdowns. He has been amazing if he's on your team because he's been so consistent. Because most of our favorite players, they're really good, but they still ebb and flow. It really doesn't matter when you played, like any week you had him. There's a good chance he was, at worst case scenario, a running back 2 serviceable for you, if not an RB1 for you. And you drafted him.
He's finally stayed healthy the entire year.
Correct.
That's huge.
But you drafted him, I want to say, around 10, give or take. So he might have been your RB3, RB4 on your team going into it. So he gave you a lot of roster flexibility, and he helped kind of cover for you during bye weeks and during injuries. So that's why, for me, he is my stud of 2023.
And with that, 2 QB leagues, I got him round 16.
Yeah.
Not Fishbowl, I got him at 16-12.
Yeah, and that was back when we didn't know. We drafted so early. We had no idea what was going on then. But with the good comes the bad. So we have plenty of duds as well. So, Doc, who is your dud of 2023?
You likely got one game out of Aaron Jones. And obviously he's had time with injuries, but in a redraft league, you can cut Nick Chubb. Aaron Jones, 26.7 week 1, then missed 2 weeks. Maybe you felt good and brought him back. He had 2.4, then missed another week, then had a bye, then had 8.7, 8.6. So you're probably feeling that you can't start him. 17.9. Then you're, okay, maybe I start him. 9.4, 2.7, misses 3 weeks, 10.9. He gave you one very solid week at 26.7, and you likely started him that one. Other than that, it was a roller coaster. And if you don't have an IR spot, he was occupying a bench spot most of the season.
Yeah, no, very, very fair. Aaron Jones, so much talent. It was just weird. He was just constantly banged up, but never like too injured. If that makes sense.
I feel like he would be a better change of pace back at this point in his career.
Yeah, I agree.
Put him on the Bills next year. Him and James Cook.
That would be a very good fit for him.
I would like that.
But playoff Lenny's already on the team.
Has he even played a single down?
I don't think so. I don't think he's been active yet.
Once.
That was a huge shock to me. I cannot believe he didn't get signed this season.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he wasn't in shape. We'll never know. Alex, who is your dud of 2023?
We're staying at the running back position. Tony Pollard. He was going late first, early second. His ADP, he was shown coming off anywhere between RB3 and RB5, depending on which site, whether it was ESPN, Yahoo, or Sleeper. As a whole, when you look at it, it's like, okay, he finished as the RB11 thus far. But that's just because of a couple big games, like week 1, where he had 20. Then, other than that, he hasn't hit 20 points at all this season. You're drafting him in hopes that the 20 points is where he's going to be week in and week out. You were hoping you were going to get 2023 Raheem Mostert out of Tony Pollard. But you've gotten 2021 and 2022 Raheem Mostert out of Pollard this year. Last few years, you were expecting Pollard to take that leap when Zeke left. Zeke left, you drafted him at the ceiling, and he ultimately performed at his floor. Just a solid RB2 on a weekly basis.
Yeah, because how are you not going to start Pollard? But he definitely underperformed. And as a Cowboys fan, he honestly didn't look that bad. He just has not done well in fantasy for you. He's just not scoring enough touchdowns.
No, that 3-week stretch where he scored and then hasn't scored him at all.
Yeah. For me, my dud is Doc referenced it earlier. It's the Steelers offense. I mean, pick a guy on that team. He did not reach ADP for you. I mean, how excited was everybody after the preseason? And we'd say, don't take too much into preseason. I get it, but I mean, Freiermuth had a hot spot for a second, then he got hurt. He hasn't been the same. Obviously, Pickett's been terrible. Pickens has a couple flash plays here or there. Deontay Johnson actually scored a touchdown like 3 weeks in a row, which is so unheard of, but he's still super inconsistent. The running backs, I mean, Jalen Warren, we were all excited to put him on our team, but then
he might be the one guy that's exceeded ADP.
Well, that's because his ADP was
so low. I completely agree.
Yeah, they
fair.
I said this before the season, and you can ask any Steelers fan that I'm friends with because the 49ers played in week 1. They are mids. Everybody at a skill position is not in the upper tier. They're all average or below. And they have no game breakers on that offense.
Well, I think they have a terrible offensive scheme, even with Matt Canada gone. You can only change so much midseason.
Yeah.
And then they don't have a quarterback. Their offensive line isn't strong enough to protect any quarterback. So, I mean, what are you going to do? It's just, I think we were all tricked by, well, I don't say all. Plenty of people were tricked in the preseason because they look good against vanilla defenses that could care less about what you do. And we all, too many of us got hyped. So just remember that next year. Not saying it's going to be the Steelers offense next year you got to worry about. But remember, preseason really doesn't matter when none of the teams are actually trying. And those defenses are literally trying their best not to show you any kind of scheme that they're working on. So hopefully that'll help you next year. But with that, our favorite segment of the whole show by far is the random tight end touchdown of the week. For those of you who are just tuning in for the first time this year, we've went multiple years of never getting one right. I finally nailed one a few weeks ago, and then Doc got his right after that. 2 in a row it ended up. Now, the odds of he's hitting are very, very low. That's why they're the random tight end touchdown of the week. But, Doc, you got to take it away for this one. Who is your random tight end touchdown of the week?
So, I've been trying to get a little too fancy the last couple weeks. I'm going real off the wall, and there's not a need to do that because I'm just going to go with a random one. So for me, it's Foster Moreau the last 3 weeks, 60, 63, 73% snap share. Taysom Hill has been banged up. He's been running more routes than Jawan Johnson and Jimmy Graham. Foster Moreau, 5 targets last game, I think, against the Rams. Just game script, they'll need to pass to catch up. So Foster Moreau, I feel pretty good about this one. He said, let's get the baseball going. We need the dude on the farm. We're coming back. Baseball pod's coming back after the new year. We'll try to get Vinny on some pods. They're going to be doing the call-up soon. So appreciate you tuning in for us.
All right, so Foster Moreau. Love it. Feel good story.
I like that one.
All right, Alex, who's your random tight end touchdown of the week?
Durham Smythe from the Dolphins. He's seen at least 3 targets in 5 of the last 6 games. If Tyreek's out again, who knows? He may get a goal line target. He could have a stat line of 3 targets, 1 catch, 1 yard, and a touchdown.
High-scoring offense. I like it. A little bit of a cop-out answer.
A little bit. But he hasn't scored all year.
He had that's true. That's you find these loophole ones because he had 4 for 32 last week. But that's fair.
No one's starting Smythe, so I'm going to call him a random tight end.
If you're starting him, it's in the Consolation Bowl as a joke.
Your average fantasy player has no idea who we're talking about, so I will take
You're trying to be contrarian if you're starting him, which there are some people out there that do that.
Absolutely.
Maybe in DFS, but yeah, don't do that in your redraft leagues. All right, for me, I feel like he's random enough. We'll see if you guys agree. It's Tanner Hudson of the Bengals. Little fun stat I found. Now, I'm going to preface this with this is extremely small sample size, but that's what makes stats fun. So he leads all tight ends in PPR fantasy points per 100 snaps. This is per fantasy data at 38.2 PPR points per 100 snaps. Number 1, Kelsey is number 2 at 30.7. So an extra 7.5 points higher than Kelsey per 100 snaps. Now, again, extremely small sample size. However, he has averaged 4.7 targets per game over his last 7 games. That's decent consistency. And Jamar Chase is expected to be out this week. So why not Tanner Hudson?
Name-wise, it's obscure, but real ones, like you said, know that he's good and that he's due for another touchdown.
Didn't you say him last week, I feel like you said Tanner Hudson last week or the week before.
I have not used Tanner myself.
No, Doc has. I feel like Doc
might have
in the last couple of weeks.
But he didn't come through for Doc. He's coming through this week for me.
He only has 1 touchdown on the year, so
all three guys are hitting this week. And we're calling it quits on the segment.
I might put $1 on a 3-leg random tight end. Oh, but I can't gamble. One of you guys will have to do it for me. I'll Venmo you $1 off air to make this happen.
We'll figure it out. All right, and cool. Making sure we didn't have any other questions. But with that, if there's no more questions out for the show, we're gonna wrap it up. It's a little after 9. We've been on for about 35 minutes. We appreciate you guys tuning in. It was nice finally having X or Twitter or whatever having comments again. Definitely felt like we had a little bit more of an audience. I appreciate that. We will be here next week, so happy holidays, Merry Christmas to all those who celebrate. We will be here the day after Christmas. Get you ready for your championship round. We will not leave you. For that, and we got to get you ready. Hopefully, all of you watching will make it to your championship round. We're pulling for you. Good luck this week. Like I said, just have fun. Don't let it ruin your Christmas. It's at the end of the day, it's fantasy football.
Zach, thank you for pushing that point home. I was so annoyed I had to put my phone away during a wedding. And this is actually like kind of something to wrap up on and I was like, look, there's nothing I can do that's going to change it. Am I going to let this ruin the bad time that I have now? And yeah, just put it into perspective that this is a game that we love and it's not something that's going to affect you, hopefully, too much in your day-to-day life.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And if you're putting that much money into fantasy football where it is affecting you like that, you may need to reevaluate your priorities. Again, no judgment. Do what you want to do. But again, this is supposed to be fun. This is all just so much random luck as much as we want it to be skill. I mean, my wife and I are in a home league. We're both in the semis, not playing each other. So we could both end up in the championship round against each other. We could both be in a third place game against each other. We don't know, but like I said,
Zach, you'll have to keep us updated because if you guys do in the championship round, I think there should be some stakes on the line. And Alex and I will come up with some ideas.
All right, sounds good. Now, I will say she's won the league like 3 times, coming second a couple times. This is the league, my home league. I've never won it. There is a trophy on the line, so I will be doing everything I can to finally bring this one home. It's been rough. It's been a rough 9 years. But we appreciate it. Thank you, Jordan, for tuning in. We always appreciate you loving the random tight end segment of the week. So happy holidays, everybody. Be safe. Have fun. Tune in next week. We are Triple Play Fantasy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And let's go win some matchups. Let's go on to the championship round. And let's win some money. Have a good holiday, guys.